Good evening. Welcome to Daily Bible Kids. Today is going to actually be a short day. It was going to be 5 chapters, and we were going to actually end Job today. But I felt like these 5 chapters needed to be split up. Okay? So we're going to do 2 chapters today and 3 tomorrow. So that way these chapters are grouped together. Okay? So it's going to be extremely short today. I know you're disappointed. You like to hear it and whatnot, Carly. But let's go ahead and get started. We left off, as you guys know, Job's depressed. He's getting through this and whatnot. Elihu has been talking to him and whatnot. What?
The Lord is gonna fight with Job and
not fight with him, but he's gonna challenge him. Yes, very good. All right, so we're just gonna do chapters 38 and 39 today. Okay. So again, yes, very good. Chapter 38, the Lord challenges Job. When the Lord answered Job from the whirlwind, "Who is this that questions my wisdom with such ignorant words? Brace yourself like a man, because I have some questions for you, and you must answer them. Where were you when I laid the foundations of the earth? Tell me if you know so much. Who determined its dimensions and stretched out the surveying line? What supports its foundations, and who laid its cornerstone as the morning stars sang together, and all the angels shouted for joy? Who kept the sea inside its boundaries, as it bursts from the womb, and as I clothed it with clouds, and wrapped it in thick darkness, for I locked it behind barred gates, limiting its shores. I said, this far and no further will you come. Here your proud waves must stop. Have you ever commanded the morning to appear and caused the dawn to rise in the east? Have you made daylight spread to the ends of the earth to bring an end to the night's wickedness? As the light approaches, the earth takes shape like clay pressed beneath a seal. It is robbed in brilliant colors. The light disturbs the wicked and stops the arm that is raised in violence. Have you explored the springs from which the seas come? Have you explored their depths? Do you know where the gates of death are located? Have you seen the gates of utter gloom? Do you realize the extent of the earth? Tell me about it if you know. Where does light come from? And where does darkness go? Can you take each to its own? Or can you take each to its home? Do you know how to get there? But of course, you know all of this. For you were born before it was created, and you are so very experienced. Have you visited the storehouses of the snow and seen the storehouses of hail? I have reserved them as weapons for the time of trouble, for the day of battle of war. Where was the path to the source of light? Where is the home of the east wind? Who created a channel for the torrents of rain? Who laid out the path of lightning? And who made rain fall on the barren land in a desert where no one lives? Who sends rain to satisfy the parched ground and make the tender grass spring up? Does the rain have a father? Who gives birth to the dew? Who is the mother of the ice? Who gives birth to the frost of the heavens? For the water turns to ice as hard as rock, and the surface of the water freezes? Can you direct the movement of the stars, binding the clusters of the Pleiades, or loosening the cords of Orion? Can you direct the sequence of the seasons, or guide the bear with her cubs across the heavens? Do you know the laws of the universe? Can you use them to regulate the earth? I'm gonna pause right there. You realize, even right there at God's mouth, he is talking about the Pleiades, Orion and his belt, the star sequence we see in the skies. He himself is talking about it. And he himself is, who put them there? Did you?
Joe.
God put them there.
So what are you trying to get him?
Can you shout to the clouds and make it rain? Can you make lightning appear and cause it to strike as you direct? Who gives intuition to the heart and instinct to the mind? Who is wise enough to count all the clouds? Who can tilt the water jars of heaven, and the parched ground is dry, and the soil has hardened into clods? Who can stalk prey for a lioness and satisfy the young lion's appetite as they lie in their dens or crouch in the thicket? Who provides food for the ravens when their young cry out to God and wander about in hunger? Any questions on that chapter? All right, 40. The Lord's challenge continues. Do you know when the wild goats give birth? Have you watched as deer are born in the wild? Do you know how many months they carry their young? Now, you have to remember, at this time, they did not know and whatnot. Throughout time and generations, yes, we know this, but that's not the point. You have to remember to put your mindset during this time, okay? Are you aware of the time that they deliver, or of their delivery? They crouch down to give birth to their young and deliver their offspring. Their young grow up in the open fields. They leave home and never return. Who gives the wild donkey its freedom? Who untied its ropes? I have placed it in the wilderness. Its home is the wasteland. It hates the noise of the city and has no driver to shout at it. The mountains are its pastureland, where it searches for every blade of grass. Will the wild ox consent to being tamed? Will it spend the night in your stall? Can you hitch a wild ox to a plow? Will it plow a field for you? Give it strength. Can you trust it? Given its strength, can you trust it? Can you leave the trust, Can you leave and trust the ox to do your work? Can you rely on it to bring home your grain? Right? Would you do that? Like, would you rely on ox to do your work and bring home the grain and everything? Oh, okay. And then have it delivered to your threshing floor? The ostrich flaps her wings grandly, but they are no match for the feathers of the stork. She lays her eggs on top of the earth, letting them be warmed in the dust. She doesn't worry that a foot might crush them or a wild animal might destroy them. She is harsh towards her young. She doesn't care if they die, for God has deprived her of wisdom. He has given her no understanding. But whenever she jumps up to run, she passes the swiftest horse with its rider. Have you given the horse its strength, or clothed its neck with a flowing mane? Did you give it the ability to leap like a locust? Its majestic snorting is terrifying. It paws the earth and rejoices in its strength when it charges out to battle. It laughs at fear and is unafraid. It does not run from the sword. The arrows rattle against it, and the spear and the javelin flash. It paws the ground fiercely and rushes forwards into battle when the ram's horn blows. It snorts at the sound of the horn. It senses the battle in the distance. It quivers at the captain's commands and the noise of battle. It is your wisdom that makes the hawk soar and spread its wings towards the south. Is it at your command that the eagle rises to the heights to make its nest? It lives on the cliffs, making its home on a distant, rocky crag, from where it hunts its prey, keeping watch with piercing eyes. Its young gulp down blood. Where there's a carcass, there you will find it. Any questions on that, Chuck?
No.
Alright. So, tomorrow, yes.
Is the camera still on? Is the light's not green?
No, you guys froze up.
Oh.
Yes, I don't know why.
Yeah,
I really need to get a new...
It just turned off while you were reading. I just didn't want to interrupt you.
No, you're fine. There we go. I really got to get a new camera. I don't know why it's doing that. But anyways, so the next 3 days is basically Job is challenging, or the Lord is challenging Job again, and it does continue, but then at the end, Job is going to finally get to respond to the Lord, and then there's a conclusion to that. So Job finally gets to talk to God. Can you imagine that chance that you get to have, like, the fact that all this stuff has happened to you, right? And you wonder, why has God allowed this to happen? And finally, you get that chance to talk to God. You know, what kind of questions would be going through your... I'm not asking for you to say it now, you know. It's something for you to think about. You know, like, what kind of questions would you ask? And then, I'm not asking for what questions you're asking right now, okay? I just want you to think about it, you know. Because we're going to finish Job tomorrow. And what I want you guys to do is, you know, put yourself in his shoes. We all have had a bad day, okay? You know, we might think that we might have had the worst day ever in our whole entire life, right? And you think, you know, why would God allow this to happen? You know, but God has plans for our lives. The one thing we have to remember is he cannot control free will, okay? So when it comes to what other people do to us, God cannot control that. You know, that's the free will, that's the gift that he's given us, okay? But at the same time, of course, we're going to have questions for God about why some of this stuff is happening, you know? So think about that. What would you ask God? And compare that to what you think Job would ask God tomorrow, okay? Alright. We'll see you guys tomorrow. You have a wonderful night, and God bless.